Welcome everybody.
Hello, Prof.
Hello, Prof.
Today, my avatar, Ahcene, will speak on my behalf, joining Daria and Ahcene, who have done so for a long time.
Our talk today is entitled, Why Do We Switch Off Our Brains When Faced with Dogma? Behind the Scenes of Cognitive Abdication. We need our brain to see, hear, feel, react, reflect, weigh the pros and cons, and decide. Yet as soon as dogma is involved, religion and politics, many people block their own brains and let others dictate their behavior. The human brain, an ultra-sophisticated organ capable of decoding quantum physics and composing symphonies or artificial intelligence algorithms, sometimes seems to go into standby mode the moment its most intimate convictions are touched upon. First, cerebral energy economy, the comfort of ready-made thinking. The human brain accounts for about 2% of body weight, but consumes nearly 20% of its energy. To survive, it has developed energy-saving strategies called heuristics, mental shortcuts that push it to avoid thinking too much. Thinking for oneself, questioning information, and analyzing a complex situation requires intense cognitive effort, what psychologist Daniel Kahneman calls System 2, which is slow and deliberate. Political or religious dogma offers a turnkey structure. By accepting the pre-established answers of a leader or a sacred text, the brain switches to System 1, fast, automatic, and effortless. Delegating one's thinking to others is, from a purely biological standpoint, a remarkably effective energy-saving strategy.
Second, the price of belonging and the fear of social exclusion. From an evolutionary perspective, the survival of our ancestors depended entirely on their integration into a group. Being banished from the tribe was equivalent to a death sentence. Even today, our brain perceives disagreement with our community, political or religious, as a vital threat. When facts contradict our group's dogma, the brain activates zones associated with physical pain, notably the anterior cingulate cortex. To avoid this suffering and preserve social status, individuals prefer to align their worldview with that of the authority or community. Group approval releases dopamine, the pleasure hormone, which positively reinforces the behavior of intellectual submission.
Third, cognitive dissonance and the immune shielding of dogma. When new information contradicts a deeply rooted belief, it creates an uncomfortable state of psychological tension, called cognitive dissonance. To resolve this conflict, without having to rebuild their entire value system, the brain deploys two sophisticated defense mechanisms. 1. Confirmation bias. The brain actively filters reality to retain only information that supports the dogma it firmly believes in, while ignoring or discrediting opposing evidence. 2. The backfire effect. The more logical facts are presented to a dogmatic person, the more they tend to dig in their heels and reinforce their initial belief, perceiving the argument as a personal attack. Dogma then acts like a computer virus that paralyzes its cognitive antivirus, namely critical thinking.
Fourth, levers for reactivating thought and the impact of intellectual autonomy. Breaking out of this cognitive lethargy requires active learning and deep awareness. To encourage individuals to use their own brains again when faced with dogma, research in pedagogy and cognitive science suggests three main levers, whose scope goes beyond mere resistance to become the driving force of human progress. 1. Teaching scientific skepticism and sorting fact from fiction. Learning how to think rather than what to think from an early age is the cornerstone of intellectual autonomy. This involves recognizing our own cognitive biases and acquiring rigorous methodological tools. This intellectual rampart allows individuals to methodically separate truth from falsehood, scientific fact from ideological myth. In a world saturated with information, this mental hygiene prevents dogmas from distorting reality and harming progress.
2. The production of knowledge. The culture of intellectual humility reminds us that doubt is not a weakness, but the very engine of intelligence. When the brain frees itself from preconceived answers, it no longer merely consumes dogmas passively. it becomes capable of thinking for itself to produce new knowledge. It is precisely this break from ready-made thinking that fuels the progress of universities and research. Without critical audacity against established dogmas, science would stagnate. The advancement of academic knowledge relies entirely on free minds, capable of formulating new hypotheses where dogmas once imposed certainties.
3. The dissociation between identity and belief, the lever of self-progress. Learning to define oneself by universal values, such as justice, compassion, and curiosity, rather than rigid labels, a party, a religion, a doctrine, is an act of emancipation. If a belief is no longer synonymous with who I am, questioning it becomes much less painful. This psychological flexibility allows individuals to actively contribute to their own progress, or self-evolution. By agreeing to evolve one's thinking based on evidence, he no longer passively submits to an intellectual destiny. He becomes his proper architect, simultaneously raising the level of reflection of society as a whole. This helps weaken dangerous beliefs while preserving peaceful and soothing spiritualities.
Conclusion: the courage of doubt as the engine of progress. In summary, blocking one's brain when faced with dogma is not a lack of intelligence, but the expression of a powerful biological and social defense mechanism. True intellectual courage consists in accepting the discomfort of doubt to preserve one's freedom of thought. It is only by taking this step that individuals become capable of separating truth from falsehood, breaking free from reassuring illusions to face reality. Far from being a mere passive posture, this reclaimed autonomy is a deeply creative act. It allows everyone to think for themselves, to produce new knowledge, thereby fueling the progress of universities, science, and society. Ultimately, refusing ready-made dogmatic thinking is the indispensable first step toward self-progress, transforming human beings from easily influenced spectators into free and conscious architects of their own evolution.
Merci d'avoir regardé cette vidéo jusqu'à la fin et à bientôt avec un autre sujet.